Hello, hello. Check, check. Hello. Can I? Alan. Raise my volume. Check, check. Hello, 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 hello. Maybe it'll just be easier as the noise from the people here goes down. Does everybody hear me on the microphone? I'm getting thumbs up. All right. So all of you guys who will be speaking on the microphone, just make sure you speak directly in the microphone to make sure everybody can hear you. I know it's been a long day, but that's happening, right? If somebody is on Zoom on your phone in here and you're not muted and you didn't turn off your sound, we're all going to have this weird sci-fi situation. And I'm not hearing an echo, so I think we've solved the problem. Thank you again, everybody, for showing up. It's important that we provide as much information. We try to put a lot of information in writing, but sometimes it's just not the easiest place to find the information. Sometimes it's not the easiest way to get the information. So weekly, hopefully next week we do the same thing. We'll continue to provide an update live so that you guys can ask us questions and we can interact a little bit more. It's been a week and a half. It's been a long week for a lot of you. I know that you are exhausted, and I just want to say how much I appreciate every single one of your patience. I've been visiting with a lot of you, and your kindness and your understanding is incredible when dealing with this situation that we're in. So obviously, we had a spill. I'm just going to be very brief. We had a spill that started on last Sunday. Don't ask me the date. It's just everything's blurry for me. We stopped it by Monday night. It was stopped, and then the cleanup started as of Tuesday morning. We have been trying to find out the best options in order to get you back in your homes and to normality. And you are seeing these things happening in your neighborhoods. Things are changing slowly but surely. And I know that our timeline doesn't match your timeline, doesn't match my timeline, but there's a whole lot that goes into making these things happen. What I want to do is I want to introduce the people that are going to be speaking to you today. And I'm going to do my best not to mess up names because I'm exhausted. We have Craig Weatherby from Environmental Health. We have Anthony Artin from Health Services. We have Dr. Bob Burstein from the Public Health Officer position. We have Robin Bore from Special Districts, and we have Rachel Dillman Parsons from Social Services. They're going to each go down the line and give you some updates as to what they are doing to help you and the programs that they are running. And that way you can get a brief update. We're going to try to stay within 5 to 10 minutes each, and then we will get to some questions at the end. And before questions, I'll take it back up and just finish up with you guys. And so I'm going to pass it on to Craig Weatherby, and he's going to give you an update.
Thank you for coming, everybody. Craig Weatherby, Lake County Environmental Health. We've had a busy week trying to make sure we get everything done for you guys. Test results, right? Everybody wants to know what's happening with the labs. Everybody wants to know what their test results are. We have the first week of test results, and the focus on that first week was a blitz of trying to get as many sample points as we could get. Thank you to everybody who made their wells available and who are actually on site to open up doors for us so that we could get to wells, things like that. Yeah, like I said, that first week was really about learning exactly what kind of contamination we were looking at, the impact and the severity of it. This week, over the weekend, we had drillers and pump teams going out, and they were sanitizing wells. And sanitizing, we call it shocking the wells with chlorine. And they spent all week in going to people's houses and shocking wells, as many as we could get for people who actually called and were available to have them come and do it. Overall, I believe we have, how many did we complete? It's like 51, something. About 51 wells were shocked over the weekend. We used 2 crews to do that. In that process, they prepared the wells so that they could be sampled starting yesterday. If you collected samples yesterday, your results will probably be getting to me around 9 o'clock tonight. and they will be available, and my team will be getting those sample results out starting tomorrow afternoon. So you should start receiving phone calls on your test results as early as tomorrow afternoon. What our focus is and has been on this has been, what level of contamination do we have? Is it declining on its own, as you would expect with an aquifer? There is water filling that aquifer as we speak. We have water that's running off the hills under the ground, and it's going through that aquifer. So fresh water is coming down from the hills still. Will continue to do so for a while time. So that fresh water is coming into the aquifer underneath your homes, and that is actually displacing some of the contaminated water and pushing it further along the way. But we don't know how rapidly that's happening, right? It's going to take time to figure that part out. But we want to see what the levels were immediately at the first time that we took the samples, and if there's a delta or a change over time, and we can use that to hopefully start looking to predict what may happen, right? Doesn't mean it will happen, but we can start getting those predictions in. The good news is we also started circulating out away from the point of impact. So we started looking at wells along Smith Lane, down off of north of Bowers, all the way over to Old Highway 53. So we started taking samples further away from the epicenter, and the results are extremely encouraging. We're seeing a lot of non-detects further away from the event, which is very good news for the long-term impact to this aquifer. So we haven't released anybody out of the area yet, but our goal is to slowly collapse in the box to only the affected area, and hopefully folks that are currently in the area that they're along Old 53 or down there by Bowers or along Smith, hopefully soon we'll be able to collapse that in. You can go about your lives as normal. That's the goal that we're trying to fight for right now. For the people who are in the most impacted zone, that's going to be the area between Maderos and Garner, and between Pond and Rumsey, right? North of Rumsey. That's basically the ground zero box that we're focusing on. Good news, we've got some samples in, and if we start seeing the sanitized wells come back clean, what that is indicative of to us is that now we know that that's a true sample of the aquifer. Before we had a hot sample, was it hot because the aquifer was hot or because the well was contaminated? Now that we've cleaned the straw, now we'll be able to pull the water directly through, and that's no longer a variable. And we can actually get a better understanding of the health of that aquifer. And that will go a long ways till helping us make a decision about lifting that drinking water, or the do not drink, do not use. And if we can get those, we're going to use 2 clean samples, just like any other water system. If we get 2 clean samples, we'll start lifting those things. I'm actually really encouraged. It's going to take a little more time, but we're heading in the right direction as far as the water is concerned. That's not the only picture we have to look at here. We still have the surface to deal with, right? Because there's 2 things here. I've been really focused on these wells, but we're not losing sight of the surface. Like I mentioned last time, the more sunlight we have and the more warmth that we have, I mean, it's practically spring out there right now. And that's actually seriously the best thing that could possibly have happened for this spill, because the more UV and the more heat, the faster those bacteria desiccate and die. And that is actually fantastic news for us. We have already gone past the viable lifespan. Sorry about that if I did that. We have already gone past the viable lifespan for E. coli. Some of the other bacteria pathogens that we're looking at are rapidly closing in on their extended life. So once the surface is actually looking really good. You'll notice we did also go out there and we put AgriLime down. The AgriLime was chosen because it's a relatively safe. It doesn't move quickly and it doesn't rapidly kill these bacteria. But what it does is it raises the pH of that soil and creates an environment where the bacteria is not as successful at surviving. We're basically just making it really unpleasant to live there. And they will slowly die off. There were other options that were put out there. Hydrogenated lime was, somebody brought that up for me. We chose not to use those because they are relatively dangerous and caustic to people's skin. And if it did get airborne, could get in your eyes and cause them to burn. We figured you guys didn't need that complication on top of everything else you were dealing with. So we chose to go with a more gentle option of using the Agro line. All right, so.
So we'll take questions at the end. I forgot to mention, as we go through this process, please make sure to write down your questions on a sheet of paper. Raise your hand if you don't have a sheet of paper. That way we'll go through the questions and answer them rather than having to go back and forth. And if you were here last time, you know the drill. Next, I'll pass it to Rachel Dillman Parsons from Social Services.
Well, hello, I'm Rachel Dillman Parsons, the Social Services Director. So one of the first things I will say is if you grabbed my update, forgive the typos. I was typing it up until the last minute. I will also get it translated to Spanish and posted to our Facebook page if you are following our Facebook page, and tell you how other ways we're going to distribute that in just a second. So I'm going to talk about Home Safe, the temporary lodging, our water delivery of gallons and flats to elderly disabled, and take a minute to talk about partners. So the Home Safe program, if you're not already familiar with it, is for households with someone who is 60 or older, a dependent adult who is disabled, or an adult receiving IHSS. Home Safe is intended to help you remain in your home safe if you're a part of this population, which includes hotel stays or home repairs. The home repairs are pretty broad. It can be the tanks, which we are currently ordering for those who are qualified. It could be other repairs you need to remain safely in your home. So to request that, if you are in one of the eligible populations, give us a call, 707-995-4200 or 995-4244. To date, we received a 19. Do I need to pause for whatever's happening there? Okay. To date, we've received 19 Home Safe referrals. 2 weren't eligible because they didn't meet that criteria I just went through. Of those referrals, 5 requested hotel stays, which we arranged. We arranged whatever folks are needing. Some people chose to check out. That's totally up to them. If they want to come back, they can come back. Just let the social worker that contacted you know. They will continue to check on you daily, or typically daily. The additional households who are currently enrolled in Home Safe were in contact with regarding other supports. As I mentioned, water tanks. The first 7 qualified Home Safe households we have requested and ordered water tanks for, and they're currently being installed. Those water tanks are 1,500 gallons, and it's smaller than what the county is planning on installing because these Home Safe households are the elderly disabled with typically 1 or 2 individuals in the home. If the household does have more family members, we will make sure a referral gets over to special districts to get you the larger water tank. All right, so that's it for Home Safe. Questions soon, I'm sure. Lodging, Social Services has taken on taking all requests for temporary housing, no longer limited to certain populations. So if you need a hotel room for a temporary stay, give us a call, 995-4200. If we can't help you within our programs, we will refer you to Church World Services. They do require a referral from us. You can't directly apply. They like us to certify you are in the impacted area, and then they will set you up with a B&B. With regard to lodging, special districts provided hotels for 7 families, 5 of which have been transitioned to Church World Services. Home Safe, as I mentioned, provided 5 hotel rooms. And we have also, with Social Services, referred 1 family for Church World Services for a total of 14 households who requested and were housed. And that's my lodging update with water delivery for the elderly and disabled. To clarify what Social Services is doing, sorry if I made life confusing, we are delivering gallon jugs and bottled water flats to the elderly or disabled who sign up for the delivery. We're doing those daily deliveries and keeping a list. This lovely lady in front, Tara, is your new friend, I think, if she's delivering the water. She is a wonderful person, as is Karen, accompanying her for those deliveries. And if you're on our list, we're going to drop off daily. You don't need to call us again. If you're not on the list, you can call us or special districts to get on the list. And for anyone who is not able, elderly or disabled and could potentially refill your own containers, the potable water remains at 2485 Pond Road for everybody. We will also take any containers that our elderly or disabled households have and refill them while we're out there for you too. Let's see. We're also distributing information with the water deliveries, including whatever the latest press releases, copies of the maps. And Tara is out there being my herald, telling you all about these town meetings and other things like that. With regard to partners, I just want to take a minute to say a huge thank you to those providing support. I do not know, I'm certain I did not get the whole list, but people I have been working with, Church World Services, who is providing housing, Catholic Charities, just got contact today that they will have some gift cards available. I'm getting more information, but if you have a need, feel free to reach out to social services and tell us about it. We'll screen you 995-4200, and then we'll refer you to Catholic Charities. I believe they have the same criteria as Church World Services, where we need to say, yes, you were in the impacted area. Disaster Relief of Northern California, you've probably seen them out there. They're doing lots of good stuff, delivering things, American Red Cross as well. And I think pretty soon we might see NCO CERT teams out there. So thank you to all of them, as well as the very dedicated staff who have been out there doing as much as they can to help you. One final thing, you'll know it's us because we have badges. And also Tara and her crew had the lovely turquoise smocks.
Good evening. I'm Robin Bore, the Special District Administrator. I have 4 of my staff here with me as well that I would like to introduce. We have Lori Baca. She is a senior manager in our department, part of our management team, and does utility compliance as well as reporting. We have 2 superintendents here for any super technical, how the plant works kind of stuff, Chris Becker and Alan Miller. And our CMOM is here, Albert Coates. I would also like to thank all of the special district staff for their tireless efforts on this spill and how many hours they have put in to first capture and contain the spill. Second, to when, after they got all the water sucked up, they were able to capture and contain almost all of it. We have estimated a large number of gallons. However, only 3,900 gallons made it into the ditch and into the creek. So that is a heroic feat that they did, managing all the pumper trucks, keeping them running, and being able to vector most of that water up. The spill occurred until Monday night at 9:55. And by the morning of Tuesday morning, the majority of all of the water had been removed, leaving small ponds and other debris that needed to be cleaned up. So they've been working tirelessly on that. No time off, working days and nights. And it's been everyone in our crew, even our office staff is working on it, making sure deliveries are happening, ordering supplies, fielding numerous phone calls, answering questions, and making lists for water deliveries or those that need to talk to environmental health, and just coordinating a lot of that for us. And even our water operators and wastewater operators that weren't actually on site here, we have 3 other wastewater plants as well as 6 water systems that we run. And they worked extra hours and picked up the slack so that the others in their UA areas could respond to this area. So thank you very much to my staff and all of the hard work and dedication that you have shown, not only this community, but the entire county. So there's been a lot of questions as to what we have been doing recently. So we have shifted to decontamination since everything has been cleaned up. So they have been hand applying AgriLime to contaminated dirt areas. So including pastures, we've done the road several times. And then they've also sprayed Decon 30, which is another environmentally friendly decontaminant on all hard surfaces and driveways. So we are working on removing some soil on some severely contaminated areas that need to have the soil removed, and we will backfill that with clean soil. They started on one today. They will finish that one tomorrow. And then there's another one down closer to kind of in the middle of Robin Lane and that they will be working on next. And then there's one that we need to replace a lot of gravel because we sucked it up with the Vector trucks in their containment. And then another property where we're discussing what remediation he would like in his, it's kind of his old orchard. So we're working with him on that. Additionally, we took this opportunity to, when we fixed the valve on the 16, when we did the replacement on the 16-inch force main, they did camera it and check the quality of that line. It's fully operational at this point. We have turned off the 10-inch force main that also runs right next to that. They did dig it up. They were potholing. They found a line. They severed it yesterday and installed a new valve. So we have an additional valve and so we have redundancy on that line. And then today, and they cameraed it and found a previous patch. And so they dug that up today. And it was still intact, but out of an abundance of caution, they did remove it and replace it with a new pipe. Both were force main pipes originally, but we have new modern technology with special connections and stuff that are better than they were 20 years ago. So they went ahead and replaced those. So we have done almost all of the properties. We are down to just a few homes. There's about 3 driveways. We were working on the goat area today with the owner. And I met with Cooperative Extension from the state today about concerns about livestock and any that were possibly contaminated by the sewage. So there was concerns about the horse property, which thank you to Lori Baca. She worked with the owner promptly before the pasture was inundated and the horses were never standing in sewage. So she got them moved right away. She worked with the goat owners to segregate them into a smaller pasture so that they were not inundated as well. The big concern we have right now is any free range chickens that have been released and have been tromping through any and every piece of property out there. So it is recommended by her that for the next 30 days that you don't eat those eggs and that you collect them and dispose of them. And no livestock, no chickens, goats, anything should be eaten for the next 30 days that we're in the area. If your animals if the sewage did not go past your pastures into your pastures, they are fine. But the chickens are a concern because they're kind of roaming everywhere out there. The showers and laundry services are still there, as well as the potable water on Pond Road at the entrance to the wastewater plant. It's a very close location to the site and easily accessible from the back of Robin and Pond right there. We're starting to work with Lake County Public Works on the roads. Pamela and the driveway between Gardner and Pamela. They're going to start there first. The sewage did not reach that area. However, we had a massive amount of pumper trucks on that side. So Public Works will be working to re-gravel Pamela as well as grade and re-gravel the driveway. And they will be using their regular road crews and stuff. So they will be repairing it as a road crew would do. And then they will be moving to Robin. When they get to Robin, they're actually going to grade more of that surface off and remove that and take it to the wastewater plant. Then our staff will follow behind them and re-lime it. And then they're going to base rock it again with another 3 inches of rock. So the potholes will be removed and any rutting or anything from the trucks. And we started today ordering water tanks. And we will be working with Rachel to coordinate the properties that she is providing tanks for. Craig and I will be coordinating on which addresses to give to them to get them so that they know where they're going. We did order some, we ordered 20 today just to get them going. And then Craig and I will huddle tomorrow with identifying the primary addresses. If you're testing positive for E. coli, those are our primary ones that are going to go in first. we're not saying we're just ordering 20. We are just getting that ball rolling, get that order in. So then as we identify the locations, then the well driller that we can continue to order more. I would like to thank Bruno for his assist at the board meeting today and for the emergency funding. That is going to be very helpful. And so we continue to work with everyone. And I think everybody at this point knows Lori. And so we'll be available for more questions at the end too, if we don't get to your questions.
Ms. Dryden, we're going to get to questions afterwards. If you could please write down it. Please. No, Ms. Dryden, we'll get to questions at the end. Everyone else is waiting for questions. If I allow you, then I have to allow everyone else. So if you could please just write it down, that would be great. So we're going to move on to health services. I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Bob Bernstein.
So thanks very much. I introduced myself last time as your county health officer and also as a parent of triplets. And I just want to say that my triplets have reminded me that they wanted to know more about what's this business of testing and why are you testing and what's it mean? So we've prepared a Dr. Bob briefing, and I'm going to read a little bit from it, but I just want to let you know that copies are in the back and also on our website. I hope that what I do read to you will be helpful. And if you have further questions, please let me know after we get to the question and answer section. So what are wells being tested for and why? Private wells in the Robin Lane area are being tested for total coliform and E. coli bacteria. These are indicators that are used to assess the level of risk to human health. Coliform is a large group of several types of bacteria. And in the current situation, following a sewage spill, finding coliforms in water means that there's been a breach in the sanitation of the water system. E. coli is a type of mammalian, including human mammalian, waste bacteria that's an indicator specifically for the presence and the risk of human diseases. Finding E. coli in well water requires a temporary source of clean water for drinking, for laundry, washing, cooking, other purposes. What will the results of the well water test show us? And you've been listening to very good presentations by our Director of Environmental Health, but let me just mention that when testing for E. coli and coliform shows us whether the water is safe and ready to be used, we are conducting and evaluating the effectiveness of the interventions to clean the water in your private wells. There are some important things to know about this. Wells can have coliform organisms or E. coli as one of the types of coliform organisms, but one more likely to cause serious illness in humans. Wells can have coliform or E. coli organisms for many reasons. Bacteria can get into the wells when the well casing develops cracks or over time, when the well cap is damaged or missing, when animal waste is too close to the well, when surface water enters the well for any of a number of reasons, or when the septic system is too close to the well. The presence of coliform and E. coli bacteria is interpreted to be the result of contamination. When would a do not use order on the use of your well be lifted? A do not use order will be lifted by the public health officer if testing following sanitation procedures shows that the water in your well now meets California safety standards. And on our website, there's a lot of information about this. When two sets of tests taken on separate days show no harmful bacteria, the water is considered to be safe to drink again. And this follows, as I mentioned, California state guidelines And those guidelines are in links that are on the website and on this brochure. What are symptoms to look for as members of this community and as people living in the community affected by the spill? People who live in the impacted area and use private well water for your needs have been advised to contact their primary care provider if any of the following symptoms occur: frequent stomach cramps, nausea or diarrhea, or unexplained skin rashes or irritation. And for young children, elderly people like me, and people with weakened immune systems, it may be necessary, and thankfully with the assistance of special districts and social services, it may be necessary to temporarily relocate if potable water is not available. So as I mentioned, the brochure is available. The details are available on our website. And I'm happy to answer additional questions after when we get to that point of the meeting.
Good evening. I'm Anthony Arden, Lake County Health Services Director. So you guys didn't get a chance to meet me last week. My apologies for that. I've been kind of the behind the scenes guy to help support our public health officer and Craig. So I'm the guy that's been trying to get resources in to support them, like staffing, coordinating with special districts and social services, and being that collaborator between the city of Clear Lake and the county, and working with Alan and Bruno. So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself and why I'm kind of sitting up here. And then just to let you guys know, just moving forward, Lake County Health Services will be the lead department moving forward for this recovery. And I'm going to continue to do the best that I can to help serve you guys and be an advocate for you, help with the change that needs to happen in the future to help make sure that this doesn't happen again. And then just continue to work with Craig and Dr. Bob so that they can continue to serve you the best that they can.
Sure. Dr. Bob's going to mention what symptoms you may want to be aware of.
The Lake County Department of Health Services website. I did mention the specific symptoms, stomach cramps, gastrointestinal symptoms. But what I wanted to say is that since the event began on the 11th, every day our senior nurse practitioners make proactive efforts to contact the emergency departments, to contact the urgent care facilities, and determine whether or not individuals have appeared there complaining of symptoms like these symptoms of gastrointestinal illness. Up to now, only this has not been a problem. Individuals who've come have either had symptoms that when tested biologically for evidence of infection, that has not been the case. And so the symptoms that people might have complained about have not been plausibly and biologically and I want to use the word epidemiologically, environmentally associated with the likelihood that their illness is related to exposures to sewage that might have affected their private wells. So I'd just like to be reassuring about the fact that when individuals have appeared at the emergency department or other facilities, it's not been demonstrated that those symptoms are related to sewage exposures. And we all know that gastrointestinal symptoms happen often. It's flu season. Symptoms like this could be associated with flu and even with some other vaccine preventable diseases. So I'd just like to be able to make that statement.
Okay, before we go to our last speaker, who may or may not know, I'm going to ask him to come up here. Just want to mention a few things. Again, appreciate all of your patience. And it does take more than just these people here to make this happen. So I just want to give out some thanks, and I think Rachel kind of stole a little bit from me, but American Red Cross is here helping, Church World Services is here helping, United Disaster Relief of Northern California, Catholic Charities, Redwood Restoration, Inc., LARCA, if you're not aware, is a local area Rotary that has been helping the local businesses that are impacted by this. NCO is out there. We've had a couple local donations as well. And this may not be the complete list, so if I missed anybody, this is not meant to be personal. Local donations, Habematol Pomo of Upper Lake provided some gift cards that I would like you guys to come and visit me at the end of this. Just to let you know, if I run out, I will do my best to get more. I just have a limited supply right now, but please approach me at the end of this meeting if I have not been to your house already, and I'm keeping track, so I know if I saw you. Foods, etc. Very thankful for them. Power Mart as well. Some local businesses that we've been working with throughout this whole thing, Action Sanitary, Caltech Pump, Duke Caruso Drilling. You've probably seen a lot of those well people that are coming to your house to do disinfection. Case Excavation, Argonaut, Highlands Water, and Canocti Water. Not sure if Golden State has been out there, but I'll go ahead and say their name. They've been helping us with some of the labs. Clerk is the one who has been doing our labs throughout this whole process. There have been many community members who have spent a lot of their personal time out there trying to find out who needs help and what people need. I just want to thank them, and just a general thank you to those community members taking their time. Let me see, I had something else on here. The amount of staff that are working underneath each and every single department head here, you've seen them out there. I've gotten some great comments about staff delivering water, helping out where they can. And then we also have been in contact with our state representatives who are very concerned and are trying to figure out how we can get some help. And also our federal representatives who are a little bit more locked up because the state has not declared an emergency and the federal government has not declared an emergency, but they are here to help us. I had a good conversation today with Congressman Thompson's office. And so just wanted to put out there just the entirety of what we're all working with together to try and get us back to normal. And when I say us, I mean you. I would like to invite City Manager Alan Flora to speak on a couple of things that he's been working on. Alan Flora has been a part of every single one of our briefings. The city of Clear Lake is very concerned, wants to make sure that we're doing the right things. He's been in the majority of the meetings that I've been involved in because it's just as important to him as it is to me. And I want him to provide a little bit of information of what he's working on.
Thank you, Bruno. Good evening, everyone. So, on behalf of the city organization, our hearts go out to all of you impacted by this spill. I know there's been an enormous amount of frustration. There's still a lot of need. And I appreciate your participation in expressing that tonight. I can tell you it's extraordinarily difficult to see our residents struggling with this situation, and for us not be able to fix the leak or respond to the public health needs of the community. I'm going to be really blunt. I'm pissed about a lot of things too. I hope you know that you can't see everything that is happening, but there's a lot of people fighting for you. I have been fortunate, as Bruno has mentioned, to be included with the county in daily briefings and some information sharing. And the city has been and continues to be ready to respond to county requests for assistance. I wanted to specifically point out the city council has been concerned about maintenance and operation of the system for some time and will continue to stay engaged in any way helpful to ensure a more sustainable sewer system serves this community. All of our city council members were at the last town hall meeting. A few of them are here tonight. Councilmember Kramer, Councilmember Hooten there in the back. A few other ones had other appointments out of the city that they couldn't make it. But Senator McGuire was here on Sunday helping identify resources that could be available. Congressman Thompson's staff have been reaching out, I know, to the county and to me personally every day. Mike himself texted back and forth with me a number of times today about what he can do to bring help to this community. And so then just really the last thing I wanted to add is this week we've been working with Canocti Unified School District, Dr. Salado there in the back. And so we aren't putting this on Facebook because we don't want the whole community to show up, but tomorrow night, we're going to be hosting, the school district and the city, a barbecue community dinner for all of you that are impacted. It's going to be over at Burns Valley School. Barbecue by Biasotti is going to be catering the food for you. So please get the word out to all those of you that are impacted. It's going to be 5:30 at the school just down the street here. And I think there will likely be at least a few folks there with some additional resources that might be helpful for you. So with that, thank you for coming out tonight. We love Clear Lake, and, you know, our staff grind every day to make this community a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, I'm sure some of you have tasted Tim Biasotti's barbecue. Delicious. Go there. I know that I will be helping out because the more I meet people, the more I recognize we need to-go boxes because not everybody's going to be able to make it to there. So I am working with, I just had a conversation real quick with Dr. Salado that I want to be involved in delivering meals because not everybody's going to be able to make it, but please make it out there if you can. I just want to talk about real quick the next steps. As you're aware, the Board of Supervisors approved up to $750,000 to be utilized to buy tanks. Those tanks would come with pumps and the connections to your homes. We want to make sure that when we do that, that your homes are clean. That's why we're doing the, and I never say the right word, sanitization of your system. And we're moving forward with that. Some tanks you've already seen out there. I believe we installed and completed an install today for the first tank. Am I correct? I believe one of them at least was connected. That's what I'm being told. Hopefully that's correct. But things are moving along, and I really can't promise you what the timeline is. I do know that I requested orders happen today. There was an order that occurred today. Supply chain, I don't have a delivery date. I don't have a when you will be connected date. So we will give you that information as soon as we have it. And I anticipate that I will find out more information and push as hard as I can to make sure that we're ready to hit the ground running when they get there. Let me just take a look before I open it up for questions. It's already been talked about that we are doing the best we can to understand where we can start restricting the map. If by chance we can show that there are 2 test results that are positive, we know that the area is clean, then we're going to be able to start contracting it. We don't want to do it if it's just because we think it's good. We want to make sure that it's good. That is not an appropriate way to do that. Long-term planning. So that was the midterm planning where we hope to provide all those tanks for you guys and make sure that you have access to water, which right now is just the big problem that we have to deal with. Again, if you are uncomfortable where you are in your own home, I've had these conversations today, please get a hotel. Please ask us for a hotel. This is not your regular fire. This is a very different situation. So please call special districts and ask for what you need, and we will do the best we can to provide. So far, I have not heard of anybody not being provided anything unless they say no. If you have any other needs, I know I've given a lot of you my phone number, 707-695-0834. Please call me. I seem to be the roto-rooter of the team where I can unclog things from time to time. Everybody is working their butts off, and it's easy to accidentally have things slip through the cracks. You've seen it before. You've had your emails where somebody said you got an email and you forgot because it was all buried. So this is not anybody's fault. I just help remind people, and it goes back to the top and it gets helped. So please contact me because I am feeling useful, I guess, in a place that I feel helpless. And for long-term planning, I know a lot of people have talked to me about it. They've probably heard about it, but there are conversations about much further planning. There's no promises in that. We're looking for funding already, but we're looking for ways where you never have to deal with this again in the future. Spills happen. Unfortunately, that's just part of any system. You've had leaks in your plumbing. Sometimes we have leaks in our plumbing. This was not a leak. That was different. But we want to make sure that if it happens again, that we have prepared you and your properties to better be equipped to deal with these things. And so we're going to continue to work for those long-term plans. And we're not going to give up on those long-term plans. And those are the conversations we're having with our state and federal reps on how it is that they can help us get the funding that we need. Again, no promises, but we are fighting for you. So I'm going to, again, please come and see me before you leave. I have some gift cards. I want to make sure to get them to as many people as possible. If I don't have any more, I will write your name down. I will write your address and I will follow up with you and your phone number. And I will follow up with you with these because it's important to me that everybody gets one. I'm going to do something really embarrassing in front of a whole bunch of people. Mi español no es perfecto. Es posible hablar español. Si tú hablas español, por favor, habla conmigo después de la reunión. Es posible que yo puedo te ayudar. Okay? Por favor. So with that, we're going to start going through questions. I think Craig already has some questions that he can start with. I'm going to start going through the list. We did receive some questions ahead of time, and I believe some of those will be answered. I'll check them off the main list that we received, and we'll go from there. And please write out your questions and turn them in. Write out your questions and turn them in.
All right, here we go. Questions. How long will our wells be monitored and sanitized? After sanitization, will they ever return to where they were before the fiasco? All right. So yes, there is a long-term plan being put in place for monitoring. This will not stop. This will probably go for years. We'll be monitoring. That doesn't mean that this situation will go for years, just that we will be keeping an eye on this aquifer for the long term. So right now we have access to 2 wells that are dedicated monitoring wells in the area. And we will be looking to either create new wells to do that or work with certain homeowners in the areas and strategically pick wells that we can have access to monitor for the long term. Instead of doing 145 samples a week, we will pick 8 strategic wells to give us the corners and then points inside the impact box to track and see how things are moving. So I answered that one first because that leads to my next question here, which is with April showers, the ground contamination could potentially recontaminate our wells. How long will testing last? That is an absolutely correct assessment. Yes, when we do receive rain, it can absolutely mobilize product and move it towards the wells again and start this process all over again. There's a couple of factors that we have to keep in mind on this. First and foremost is the condition of the wells themselves. There are many wells out there that are very old. Some of these wells were sunk in the 40s. And those wells that were sunk in the 40s were done with steel casing and they were done without sanitary seals. Not because they did it poorly, but because that technology didn't even exist at that time. So those wells represent a larger threat than a modern well, which does have sanitary seal requirements. The rules for the sanitary seal did not come into play until 1981. So wells that were built after 1981 are required to have them. Wells that came before then, well, they may have had them if the homeowner decided to put it in, but it wasn't a requirement, so they had the option. And many of the wells out there do not have sanitary seals. So when you have livestock within 100 feet of that well, every time they go to the bathroom and every time it rains, it'll move E. coli and bacteria down those wells. Septic systems. Everybody knows that septic systems and wells do not go well together. I'm told that it affects the flavor of the water. Good, I got the good response out of that. That's what I was looking for. Yes, but that's actually a very real risk that we are now looking at. Some of the septic systems in this area are a little bit closer to the wells than we would normally allow. Right now, the standard is 100 feet from a septic leach field is allowed to be within the well. And we are seeing some leach fields that are actually a lot closer. And we'll be working with those homeowners to see if there's anything we can do to remediate that and move those fields somewhere else. I will work with those homeowners specifically. I'm not identifying anybody out. So there are always risks of contamination on this aquifer. And we will be doing long-term testing to track the movement of these things. This is not going to stop just because people stop watching us. We're going to be watching these areas for a long period of time. And by long period of time, I mean well over a year, possibly extending longer than that. So that's the goal at this point. And one of the questions that another one I'll go into is going to be, how did you come up with the map? My house was removed. When you haven't tested our wells and don't know if it's spreading underground over time. Yes, it is spreading underground over time. We do know that. That is actually why we made the box bigger. When we initially started this incident, the initial was from Garner to Old Highway 53, south to Rumsey, south of Pond, or north of Rumsey, I'm sorry. When we started looking beyond Rumsey, we started seeing some positive hits. So we extended that box all the way down to Bowers. And unfortunately, we ended up capturing even more people into this. That was done. We love to use this word, overabundance of caution. That is fancy talk for we didn't know what was going to happen. So we decided to act in the most conservative method possible and protect people while we were working on getting information. The good news, such that it is, once you get south of Bowers, once you get west of Smith Lane, you start getting into Highlands water. So the people there are not reliant on wells for their drinking water and their regular service needs. So we do know that that contaminant is being pushed along the aquifer down in a southerly direction, and in time will actually move underneath the area that is already being served by public water and no longer being used for drinking water purposes. So we are tracking this stuff. I'm not sure exactly where this particular individual lived. I'm sorry, I don't know. But if we removed you from the box, it was either because the initial box wasn't clearly defined or some other reason. We have not actively removed anybody from the box intentionally because it may have just been a redefine of what that box was to be more clear and make sure everybody understood where they were. So those are the questions I have for now. We'll get more, don't worry. There are a lot more questions, but I'm going to pass on to other people so they can talk so you can stop hearing me.
So I have several questions that are related. One is which state agencies have been formally notified or engaged with this incident, and are they actively involved in oversight, testing, and enforcement? So when we run a sewer system, we are, as well as with our water system, we are monitored and have reporting and inspections from the state water control board. And we immediately, when we have a spill, contact Cali OAS, and we give them an initial quantity. It's a WAG, it's what we see on the ground when we start operations, when we get called to a spill. And that number gets updated as it goes on. And then when we finally file a final report, it's in draft form, then we calculate any recovered waters and all of that other stuff. And we fill out these forms and have to report that within a certain period of time to the state. We also work with Lake County Environmental Health and Lake County Public Health. Those are our 4 main points of contact at this point. And so I want everybody to know that we did also meet with the state inspector. They came out on the 14th to monitor and see what we were doing. And we will be coordinating with that person as well, who's with the State Water Board. I want you to answer the question about a designated incident lead or single point of contact. We actually have 3 phone numbers for you. Lake County Special Districts is 707-263-0119. If it's an environmental health well test kind of question, environmental health number is 707-263-1164. And then social services gave their number earlier. If you need assistance from them or could possibly benefit from the Home Safe program. And their number is 707-995-4200. And just because you call the office, don't think we're ignoring you. They are adding people to specific lists. If it's delivering livestock water, if it's you want a hotel, if you want bottled water delivered, passing out that kind of information. We do have active lists. We are fielding those calls and directing them to the appropriate department. If you call special districts and we need you to talk to environmental health, we will take that information and relay it to environmental health, so you aren't making multiple phone calls as well. I want everybody to know that we are prioritizing the services and the response to the residents that have been impacted on Robin and Pamela and the surrounding area. And that is our main focus right now. So there's a lot of these questions after action, after incident actions and stuff that won't begin until all of this is taken care of. I want to talk to Barbara about the road. I'm guessing you must have the easement between Gardner and Pamela. That we realized there were a lot of trucks on there. There's a lot of ruts on there. They will be great. Public Works will be coming with their regular road equipment. They will be grading it and re-rocking it with 3 inches of rock. So that will be taken care of. There's also some ruts by Rumsey and Robin that we will be smoothing out because the trucks took wide turns and made ruts there. We will be taking those out as well. And the showers, so Special Districts has provided the showers at the Pond Road. There's 8 regular standard showers that are sanitized in between each and every use. And there's also a family shower trailer that has 2 independent stalls and an open area and a sink and a bench. So we're seeing a lot of mothers bring their small children, and then they don't have to contain them and stand outside and know which door they went in. They're all in one room. So those are there. And then the senior center also has ADA accessible showers twice a week. But if you are disabled or elderly and need assistance, please reach out to social services, coordinate hotels, coordinate services that way. And I want to bring Chris Becker up to talk about the repair today. There were some specific questions. He was the superintendent on site and worked with the crews.
Hello, I'm Christopher Becker, Utility Area Superintendent. I have a question regarding the valve on the 10-inch that we installed. Somebody asked questions in the field and they were told that there would be a vault installed, and that is untrue. We have the standard box and we plan on operating that valve every 6 months. Instead of asking workers on site, if you could please ask or call the office 263-0119, and your question can be directed to the appropriate person. There's a lot of staff on site that don't have knowledge of what's going on. They're new, they're temporary workers. So I just want to make sure your questions do get answered truthfully, and it would have been directed to me. The other question I have is regarding the force main and how often the valves are exercised and checked, and the pipes. Force mains are particularly hard because they're under pressure. We do check the valves yearly and high priority valves every 6 months, so bi-yearly. Thank you.
Just another question. And then there was another question. Did Alan or Albert want to answer that? Oh, Chris answered that. Okay. We have a question. Are those of us that have bought a holding tank going to get reimbursed? You can go on to the county website and get a claim form. Should be able to download that off of the internet, or you can call Lake County Special Districts again at 707-263-0119, and a claim form can be provided to you. I would assume due to our financial constraints and the tanks that we are providing, that it will be within that price range, and we will look at the receipts and all of that kind of stuff and look to go through that reimbursement process as well. But if you haven't gotten a tank, please reach out before purchasing one. So I'm guessing that our magnitude of scale is probably a better price than individual homeowners. And I'm going to give these. So Albert, I want you to answer number 2 on here. So you can read that one. And I'm going to pass this. Does anybody, Craig has more questions?
Question for Health Services. Did I hear that right? There is a new IC that Environmental Health is taking this over. Essentially, yes. We will be the lead county department from now until recovery operations are complete. This is just a natural transition from response, which was special districts as the initial responding agency, to mainly recognizing an environmental health and public health phase. Special districts is still very involved, as is social services and many county workers still that still want to help.
All right. I want to thank whoever asked this question because I forgot to mention this and this is awesome. How often should wells be tested on a regular basis as a normal practice? US EPA recommends once per year. To do a sample, we run those with Alpha Labs, and you can pick up a homeowner kit from our office, and you can drop it off at our office, and they will pick it up there and take it to Ukiah, run it. And I can't give you an exact price because I forgot to look it up before I left, but I want to say it's around $60 to $80 to do that home test. And that seems like that's not too much for a once a year expense to really understand what your wells look like every day. So, oh yes, I put that on there for me. I have the really unfortunate side of this. We have been made aware that there are a few people out there who are representing themselves as contractors. And they are providing quotes for services that are extortionist at best. And yeah, I'm using inflammatory language on purpose. Whoever that person is really needs their mom to have a conversation with them. We have heard someone who got a quote to have their well sanitized at $12,000. For full disclosure, the county paid $435 to have your well sanitized. All right, that's public record. All right. That was a spectacular deal because those drillers and those well operators were willing to work long hours to help you folks out and get these done. And my thanks go out to Duke Caruso and to Caltech Pump, and also to Jack Pollock, who spent some time with me talking about the aquifer so I could better understand. These are people who live in your community and work in your aquifer. When you select a contractor to do work for you, no matter what, always check the references, ask them for a reference. If they don't have any local references, be wary. That doesn't mean they're bad people, but be wary. And always get multiple bids, because if somebody takes a $12,000 sanitizing job, that whoever that contractor is deserves very bad things in my mind, but I'm not encouraging that. So I wanted to put that out there. Legal bad things. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Very good. Legal bad things. All right. What does the chlorine do to the aquifer? All right. Chlorine in general is actually a short-lived chemical. It's an oxidizer. It adds a very energetic oxygen atom to biological products and basically kills them. It lyses the cell and splits the cell open and kills it, right? That's what chlorine does. So the more contaminated something is, the faster the chlorine gets eaten up, so to speak, right? So when we do our first round of chlorinations and sanitations into a well, into your wells, it's going to rapidly get used up. So it actually will have very little impact on the aquifer in general, because most of the chlorine will get eaten up by the water that's already in your wells, right? It may extend shortly out into the percolated zone, but it'll get rapidly deteriorated. So we really wouldn't expect to see any significant impact to the aquifer at this stage. If we were to be pouring in thousands of gallons of chlorine into there, yeah, it could have an impact further down into the aquifer and so forth. But right now, what the levels that we're doing, we're focusing on just cleaning the straws. We're cleaning the wells so that we can now draw water up clean from the aquifer, and whatever that aquifer is will give us a better indicator of what the water condition is going to be moving forward. And that's our focus. Where does the contaminated soil go? So yes, Robin mentioned that they're going to be scraping some soil. That soil is actually going to be going over to special districts, and it will be put into a lined pond. We have lined ponds as part of wastewater treatment anyway. Those lines actually prevent any contamination from moving down into the water column. And that's where that soil will go, where it will sit for a period of time and will be treated. I put that in air quotes because treated means leave it out there for the sun and, you know, all the things to do that what it naturally does. And then that soil will be used for some other purpose, like maybe possibly ground cover at one of the landfills or something along those lines. So it won't just be moved across the street and left in a pile for kids to play in. So I just want to make that clear. Is that correct? Drying beds. Okay, drying beds. All right. If I have a reverse osmosis system on my well, am I okay to use my water? Awesome sauce. I love it. Reverse osmosis is an outstanding system for removing contaminants. I will refer you back to the manufacturer's instructions for your system to ensure that it actually protects against biological. I know reverse osmosis is usually used to remove mineral. But with the very microporous filtration, it could stop biological. But again, I would refer back to the manufacturer or contact your pump company that installed it in the first place and talk to them and ask them if it will provide you with that coverage. But I would feel a lot better if I had a reverse osmosis as well. But I would definitely refer back to those folks who install it or the people who manufacture it. Will I get a copy of my test results? Yes. Will I get the full copy of my test results? All right. I want to kind of talk a bit about what these test results look like. So test results just come back in a full package, one page with everybody's results on it. It's not that you have your own dossier of information. It's one line amongst 35 lines, right? I'm happy to provide all of the those, but those go through county, whereas Trevor, right? Those will be distributed at the county PIO for that information. The actual sample number and the results, those are what we're going to share. What I will not be sharing publicly is your address, your phone number, your name. Those things are on our collection log, and that I will not share with the public. Also, what I will not share with the public, you're welcome. Also, just so you know, Lake County is unique in this. Well data is confidential in Lake County. We're one of the few counties that actually have that as a confidentiality. So, go Lake County. When somebody calls and asks for their results, we will ask you your name, we'll ask you where your address is, and we'll provide that result. If you then ask me, well, what's my neighbor's result? I will not tell you that. Okay? I will tell you your results because you need to know that. But if you want to know your neighbor's results, go knock on their door and ask them. Right? You don't need me telling you what your neighbor's results are. I'm not going to tell you. Just tell you outright. Okay? I got a couple more and then I'll move to the next ones. What is the scale for the water testing? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the scale, but if you're referring to the severity of the test, we basically, in any drinking water source, we're looking for a 0-0. We want a non-detect for coliform. We want a non-detect for E. coli. Thank you. In public drinking water services, they have to provide those tests to the state. What is that, 3 times a week? It's like a ridiculous number of tests. Yeah, but multiple times. Yeah, you're doing it a lot. They pull a lot of samples. In a private well, there is no standard. It's your well. And so you decide if you want to drink from your well or not, right? However, with that said, lower numbers, better, right? We saw results that had 2,419.9 on, remember, we're looking for 0 on both E. coli and total coliforms. That is a astronomically high number. That represents the severity of the threat. It's up there. We also saw a lot of non-detect for property owners. So the scale of it is everything in between that. So, but if you're also asking the scale of the sampling, we've collected 94 samples so far. We collected an additional 29 today. So we continue to monitor, and then in the long term, we'll continue to monitor as well. I think I mentioned that. And last one, just so you guys are not completely bored of me, our septic systems. Yes, septic systems do contribute to this. We don't know to what extent and to what severity, but septic systems can contribute to water quality problems. I know this is a surprise to people to think that if they put wastewater in the dirt, it might eventually join water. Yes, we're looking into that as well. And yes, some of these septic systems are also very old, and they are not necessarily in the greatest of shape, and their locations do present a problem. For septic systems that fail, when the field can no longer take the water, it becomes saturated. And in this case, during a flood surge, or in this case, sewage, on top of it, the field is completely saturated, right? There is no more permeability in the soil. It can't take anymore. It's finally given up. It's walked away. It said, I see you. It's done. However, all fields will recover over time. So as water continues to flow and move, they will eventually come back into service. That said, when right now groundwater is very high, some of the areas out where you guys are at, groundwater is within 10 feet of the surface, and in one spot it's within 5 feet of surface. That is not a lot of distance between the bottom of a trench on a septic system, which will be somewhere between 30 and 48 inches, and 60 inches of water where the water's at. That the less soil you have between your septic trench and the water, the less microbes you have to kill pathogens on their way down to the water. So we are going to be looking at septic systems very clearly. Second question on here is directly related to the septic system. There's concern about adding chlorinated water to your septic tanks. And that is true. Yes, you do not want to add chlorine to your septic tank. However, it's going to represent a short-term problem. Everything your septic system needs to work comes from you. The more you use the bathroom, the faster your system will recover. Chlorine, again, is a short-lived, and when it touches bacteria, it's done. And you put 100 pieces of chlorine in, you catch 100 bacteria, they're all done, problem solved. You go to the bathroom, you're adding more bacteria, the process will restart and start again. I would not expect when you flush your lines and it goes into your septic system, I would not expect it to have a significant impact on that system's function. Okay, next.
So I'm going to go through some questions. Some of these are kind of categorized in the same thing, and seems I'm already getting text messages that I'm in trouble for things I'm saying. So I guess that gives me the open door. Why was a mandatory evacuation not issued once it was known the force main could not be immediately repaired? I think we were trying our best to try to stop it. And we thought that we could. And by the time that we recognized that we couldn't, and it was way over our heads, the evacuation orders had not been done. And so there is a learning moment, and it does ask about what we've learned from that. I know I'm going to have a private conversation. I know my colleague, Jessica Paiska, who's also on the Board of Supervisors, has talked to me that this is happening. She's very in touch with things that are happening when it comes to fires. Supposedly the app Watch Duty is going to be updated to do floods and other things. I'm going to have a conversation with them to say, we need you to update your program so that any emergency that we put out there can go through Watch Duty. Now, again, that is working on this situation. It's not going to happen for sure, and it's not under my control, but I think it's a great idea because I don't know anybody that's not following Watch Duty. It's probably gets more watched than our Nixle alerts. It probably gets more watched than your social media. People jump to it when it's on there. One of the things that I also want to change, and something that I've learned over the course of this, is we're not meeting the expectations for the communication, and especially we're not meeting the expectations of communications when it comes to our Spanish-speaking community. So I want to change our emergency action plan so that we automatically have Spanish-speaking communication being put out. It's horrible that we're not already doing that in the first place and that we have to ask for it. That should be automatic. And that's on us to make that change. And I think we can easily make that change. Another piece of it is we literally just not too long ago approved what's called a hazardous mitigation plan. We have a lot of things on there that we assumed are the emergencies we would deal with. This was not one of them. So we obviously need to update, and we weren't creative enough in thinking of all the things that could happen. And I think there's a lot of learning moments that we can have here. In fact, I'm hoping to, after every emergency, there's an after action report that we work on. It was asked if there's a third party that reviews it. It's just every emergency partner that was involved gets in a room and we talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and what our learning moments are. I want to invite our first responders to these conversations because they've had so many more experiences in dealing with emergencies that we don't want to learn from one experience and say, this is how we're going to do it next time, thinking we got this. We want to make sure to have the people in the room who do have this and who do better understand how to make these things happen so that we can learn from them, learn from what we've learned, and put it all together for a better purpose for the potential next time. I hated even saying that. This question, I feel that we've touched on that. What specific public health measures are being taken? Please review the public health advisory that has been put out. It is consistently the same. And I know that we are pulling some soils as we speak to try and scrape off where there was a lot of puddling. I will tell you, I have concerns. And I would like to, at one point, at least talk with the team about where do we need to maybe do some soil samples to make sure that we did what we needed to do rather than thinking that we did what we needed to do. We need to make sure of that. And we are coordinating with our healthcare partners to ensure that they are aware of what to look for. Okay, I kind of paraphrased that to the best I could because my memory only stops after 7 words. I think we had a brief discussion about how to handle your animals when you come back. I would just say, please speak with Robin Bore. She had a conversation, I believe, with the UC Davis medical professor to give us some insight on that. So she would be the best person, but there was some comments made about that at this moment. I'm going to skip some of the questions that were that are about the sewer system and its status. I think those are questions we need to put in a parking lot and come back to once we're done with this current emergency that we're dealing with. I don't think it's a bad question. I just think that we need to get to that a little bit later. There are questions about here. I'm going to pass this back to Craig and just give me the microphone right back. A broader test, not just pathogens, but including pharmaceuticals, chemicals, residue, or anything else that may have been inside of the effluent that spilled. How are we identifying that, and are we testing for that?
I thought you liked me. That's a really difficult question. We're working with Cali EPA, state water region, water boards, regional water boards. They're helping set up this long-term monitoring plan. I'm specifically looking at the wells themselves, but they're helping us make sure that we don't miss anything. It's part of the reason why we have not yet lifted any of the drinking water notices, because we're still waiting to get those types of information. Well, the last thing I want to do, and I know Dr. Bob and Anthony and everybody up here, the last thing we want to do is say your well is safe and then you go drink water and you get sick. I'm pretty sure that you will let me know that you're unhappy about that. Actually, I know you will. And I don't want you to get sick. I'm not trying to make light of it. So yes, we're still holding on to these do not drinks because we're still waiting to get more information on those things. Yes, I have been really focused on bacteriological sampling, because that's rapid. It's a rapid test. We get it quickly, and not for nothing, it's also a relatively inexpensive test, so I can do a whole lot of them quickly. So that's why we focus on some of the sampling that you're talking about. If we do some of these other things like the heavy metals testing or pharmaceuticals, things like that, Those are more involved. They take longer with the lab. They're also a lot more expensive. That doesn't mean we're not doing it. We're gonna do it. It's just we need to prioritize the information we can get now versus the information that's gonna take us a little bit longer. But we are working on those things as well. And to Bruno's point, yes, we are gonna work on soil. Meanie, yes, we will continue to look at the soil specifically. I've been letting the ground dry because effectively the percentage of humidity or not humidity, moisture in the soil. Any gardener will tell you that the more moisture you have, the better the roots are going to move. And same thing with bacteria. The more moisture you have, the more viable it will be. So the drier that soil becomes and the more UV that it takes on, we're going to let it do some of the bacteriological work for us, but then we are going to start monitoring that more closely and long-term.
I've been with Craig through many different fires and emergencies. This is the guy you want to be with. He works his butt off and he has a great sense of humor throughout the whole thing. What specific steps are being taken right now to prevent additional failures? And also, are there other pipelines? I don't know where it says that a little further, similar age material. So the pipeline that we had an issue with is a force main. The majority of the infrastructure for the sewer system is not a force main. Everything is gravity fed until it needs to be force mained all the way to the sewer treatment pond. I'm looking to see if I need to be corrected, but I think I'm correct. One of the things we're doing right now is we are looking at prior fixes that were done to make sure that they are correct and that they are still strong, and we are replacing those things as well if necessary, but I'll pass it on to Robin Borey before I say too much.
Yeah, that's a little late, Brenna. We already fixed that patch on the 10-inch force main. That was what they were working on today. We replaced that just as an abundance of caution. There's a difference between a force main and a gravity line. We have 90 miles of gravity line in Clear Lake in the southeast area. It runs from Lower Lake all the way to the southeast plant. And it goes through a series of lift stations to get there. Gravity lines are much easier to investigate, to inspect, to clean. There are manholes in them. So we have access points in those. In a force main, there are no manholes, there are no access points. There's very limited areas for inspection. Those are underground, they're under pressure, and there's a series of valves in them. Those valves, the superintendents are exercised at least yearly. Some of the other ones are exercised every 6 months. And the majority of our pipe is AC pipe at this point, and it has a lifetime in the force mains between 70 and 100 years. Our system is not quite that old, but we are investigating everything we possibly can at this point. And then the other ones where it says how often are our pipes valves checked, and do they know what they're looking for when they are checking them? I want to reiterate that my staff are licensed professionals. They carry licenses from the state of California in both water and wastewater. And I assure you they are professionals. And so when they are do their inspections and exercising valves and doing that, they do know what they're doing. And the regular valves are exercised usually monthly or inspected monthly. I don't know if we can get back to you. Oh.
My name is Albert Coates. I'm the CMOM coordinator. Probably been to your house already. And if I haven't, you probably missed me or I missed you. I'm sorry. So I have a question. Homeowners that have sub areas that have been contaminated, how are you going to clean those areas under the homes and how and when? Each home's a little bit different. Some are older. We got tight spaces. Couple of the homeowners in here I'm personally dealing with. So if you have that, you can call the office at 707-263-0119, or I will give you my cell. Someone's going to come out and assess it and see if something we could take care of, or we're going to figure out a way to do it and talk to the boss and get it taken care of for you. Is that good enough?
Yeah. All right. Rachel had some.
Okay. last better up maybe. So with regard to the question about the tank install, it was the client herself that reported her tank was installed late today. The company said the first install would be Thursday. Sounds like they got to it early. There were a couple thank yous I forgot, and I'm going to squeeze in the middle of these questions. I want to make sure animal control is thanked for, if it wasn't mentioned, if I missed it, I'm sorry, for filling all the water troughs. I want to give kudos to Adam Alfinda, who works for special districts. He is who hooked us up with Catholic Charities for the gift cards. More information to come. Okay, questions. Why are people still not being notified door to door? Nobody has come to my house to let me know what's going on. To clarify what social services is doing, we are providing copies of the latest press release when we drop off the water jugs or water flats to those who have signed up for water delivery, just as a courtesy, because that population may not have access to Facebook, where a lot of these social media, or excuse me, a lot of these press releases are posted. We're not doing anything more than that. So Robin and Craig just talked about this a little bit. Do you have more to say to this?
I know my staff, Lori and Albert, have been door to door. If there is a locked gate, they are not opening the gate, or if there's, dogs or something in the yard, they're not opening your gate and walking in. I don't have an address on this, so I don't know where you are exactly. But if you want to come talk to us after the meeting so that we don't call out your address, we'll be here a little bit after the meeting, so you could come talk to us about getting access to for any information that you don't have currently. And somebody asked when you'll find out if you qualify for water containers. I'm assuming you're talking about the tanks. If you've applied for the SAFE or the Home Safe program, Rachel's team is working through that. We are coordinating with her. Right now, we have not determined if we are going to put any kind of treatment on these tanks. These are not going to be connected to your wells, so they cannot be cross-contaminated, and then they would be filled by potable water trucks that would come out and fill your tanks on a regular basis. So they would not be part of your well at this point if you get tanks.
Okay, I guess I'll piggyback on that before I answer the next one. With regard to, I just went blank on the question. What was the question? Home Safe. Yeah, the social workers have made calls to everyone who we have received a Home Safe referral to. We try to make the call that day. We haven't been able to get a hold of a few by phone. So if you've got a voicemail, check it. If you see caller ID that says County of Lake, try and answer it. That's probably us. The other question I have here is also, are you asking for volunteers? Can we help? Social Services does not have a volunteer group that we operate, but I do have a couple community partners that do. So if you're interested in being part of disaster response, there's both North Coast Opportunities CERT team. You can Google it and find them, but their phone number is 707-998-8643. Or you can volunteer with the Red Cross of Gold Country. They also do a lot to help out. Their phone number is 916-933-7070. And again, you can Google them and find them.
I guess I'm it. Okay, the average number of wells that came back contaminated. Not really an average. There were 39 wells that came back contaminated with total coliform and or E. coli, and not at equal levels. So 4 of those samples came back completely outside of the scope of the test. The rest of them came in somewhere between 0 and that. So 39 out of 94 samples.
What that is,
What is?
the maximum for the test?
2,419.6. That's the maximum that the test can do. Don't ask me why 0.6 of a colony can be counted, but that's the test. So yeah. So there's not really an average number of wells, just that there are contaminated wells. We do know that number, and it's 39 right now. And I can't say that they're all in one area either. There's some that are spread. In the areas that were heavily affected by sewage on the ground, as you would expect, some of those came up, but then again, there were a couple that didn't. So we're looking at those. All right. How long will environmental health data, why does it do this? Is it the watch? How long will environmental health data related to this incident be retained? How will residents access if delayed impact rises? Okay. As with all disasters, everything that we work on is public record, with exception to HIPAA protected information. So the things that Dr. Bob is working on with people about their the medical stuff will not be shared. It's illegal for us to share it, and frankly, we wouldn't do it because it's rude. But environmental health data, all of the stuff that we are collecting is all discoverable, and it's all, you can request that in a PRA. So you can get that information. I will say that there is a period of time after an incident that we have to put everything together and kind of that. It's a bad time to ask for it right now because everything is on stickies on my computer monitor. So it will take me some time to put data. Things like the test reports that we get from clerk, those can be made available quickly. Those are easy email off. But again, like the logs of where we collected those samples from will not be shared. Is it because I'm standing? Okay. We'll do this. Wow, this is a sensitive system. What, does it not like me standing? Too tall. So we answered that one. Okay.
Individual, but not every,
What about well results?
in context of that question. How will residents access the health data related to this incident that you only get access to your right?
Sorry, I should have just done that in the first place. Just want to reiterate, yes, we are a public agency and we will provide every public document that anybody requests related to this incident. We got approvals from people to go on their personal private properties. So we can provide you your test, but we will not be providing other people's tests to you. So that will not be a part of what will be available. Maybe that changes in the future, but that's how we're running it now. That's how I'm most comfortable running it now, because we got permission not to share what's going on your property. We got permission to help you understand what's happening on your property. And I want to be very cognizant that we should be sensitive about people's private property. I'm going to ask a question here, which I really can't answer. What protections are in place for residents if property values, insurability, or mortgage eligibility are affected? I really don't have a good answer for you. That's why we're trying our best to rectify this problem so that we can go back to normal. That is our goal and our hope to bring you back to where you started in the first place before Sunday. And so this is also similar to another question that I saw somewhere else about what happens if something in the future happens and it happens to be related to this, like a medical incident. I think that goes along with what was said before. If you feel there has been an adverse effect on you and it has cost you, there is a claim system through the county. Provide your proof, your reasoning, and submit that claim. Somebody also submitted another question over here about water accidentally being left on by an employee for about 18 hours, if that's the case. And you can provide us your the differences in water bill or something to show that cost. I would say, please submit that claim. Oh, God. I think that just accidentally told you I don't live on a well. So, but your pump, your electricity, it would be your pump and it would be your electricity. So share with us something to help us understand that that did occur. And again, submit that as a claim. Are green tanks going to be installed with pressure pumps? If we install a tanks, we are absolutely going to be installing it with a pump, or else you're just going to get a drip system in your house, which is kind of useless.
So when these quotes came in, these tanks you will be operating independently off of your well with these tanks. They will be plumbed to your home and they will have pumps and they will operate exactly the same way your well did by providing pressure to your home. The only difference is that you have a limited source of water that will need to be refilled on a regular basis rather than your well automatically doing that. We are going to be leaving the wells disconnected, so there is no chance that the water can be accidentally contaminated in the well. So this is a temporary, short-term fix to get people whole right now, or at least partway there, while we work on a long-term solution. Long-term solutions can be a lot of different things. And I would say what it would be, but it will probably change before I finish the sentence. So that's how fluid this situation remains at this time.
I am going to answer these questions. One of them, sorry, Brett, I'm just not going to ask it. Yes, you received different information that the lab was open. We were told the lab was closed. We'll go ahead and look into that. It happened to also coincide in what we were doing. I'm going to trust our staff that when they say it was closed and that we weren't going to do more labs, that was the case. And you can laugh at me all you want. I'm just letting you know. Was there any indication someone well was not properly covered and sewage came directly into their well? Do we have, I believe I know, but I want to check in with Craig. Was there any direct seepage through an open well into their system?
We can't guarantee that, but there's a very good chance of it. We did find 2 or 3 wells that were very close, or if not inundated with the sewage that did not have proper seals. Their cap was off, and one well that was cut off with no cap whatsoever left open at ground level. So that's basically just a direct straw right down to the aquifer. So anything, if you dropped a gum wrapper, it's going down into your aquifer. So.
Somebody mentioned that there's a short timeline to submit a claim. And I just don't know enough, and we don't have our county attorney here with us. If that is the case, I will be making a request that we extend that because the emergency is not over at this point in time. So please, I'm hearing from somewhere in the heckler section of the room that it's about 6 months. And so at that point, that gives you enough time at this moment in time. But again, let's just communicate and make sure that you have that opportunity if that is something you need to do. I have 2 questions that I'm going to pass on to Robin Bore. Has this incident triggered any mandatory state reporting thresholds? If so, what actions are required? And on the other side, it's about the Cal OES reports. Oh, did you? I apologize. And the last one I don't believe was answered. Correct me if I'm wrong. The 2,000 gallons report to Cal OES and now turning it to 2.9, if you can. Okay. This one's for Craig, but since he's talked a lot, I'm going to wait a little bit. Will the county be adjusting property taxes to reflect the decrease in property value in this area automatically, or will each homeowner be required to request a reappraisal from the county assessor? Desirability of owning or living on property in the affected area has obviously nosedived. I don't know how to answer that question. All I know is we want to bring you back to normal, which hopefully will recalibrate. Yes, today, your value probably, selling your house today probably will not be an easy feat for the value you want for it. We want to bring you back where we can get you where you started. And so I can't answer that question at this very moment in time, but we are working hard to rectify the issue that is occurring on your land. And you already answered that one. Okay. I'm not. So yes, we are having high-level conversations about how to ensure that future spills don't impact your water table. But it's just, I can't promise anything at this moment in time. It takes money, it takes processing, it takes collaboration between different agencies, and it is not it's going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in 3 months. It could be years in the making, and there's many different ways to get to that. The question was, are there any thoughts about bringing city water for the neighborhoods and affected areas? And so, again, these are just topics we're having high-level discussions on, but nothing will be happening anytime soon because no public works project happens overnight. Thanks for that question, Craig. That's all the questions that I have. Are there any other questions in front of anyone else that we have not answered? So again, please, if I have not seen you in the last couple of days, I have some vouchers I would like to make sure you get your hands on. Come and see me. Si tú hablas español, por favor, habla conmigo. And at this moment in time, without any further questions, you guys are, Alan, why are you holding a question? And we will all stick around if you want to have a private conversation with us so that we can answer your question that maybe you wanted to. We're decrypting the question. All right, at this point, if you handed in that last question, please come up and talk to Robin. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. And again, please reach out and have a conversation with me or anyone else to get what it is that you guys need. Thank you.